Good morning. This is Reverend Denise M. Roberge from One Mind Spiritual Services. Happy to be with you today. I just want to tell you that I just did a whole half an hour video on addiction and self-soothing, and it didn't work out right at the end technically, and I had to get rid of it. But I really wanted to post something today. So I'm going to read just one passage from Overcoming Addictions by Deepak Chopra, just to give us some framework for finding some compassion and love and understanding for the many people that are suffering from addiction right now. I was an addictions counselor, therapist, director of a program. I was heavy into the addictions field for quite some time, and I'm also a recovering addict. I partied hardy in the disco years and got myself in a little bit of trouble for a short time. Thank goodness I got out of it. I'm very, very grateful, but it taught me a valuable lesson, and it put me on a spiritual path. I was already on a spiritual path, but oh my goodness, I learned so much. I'd like to first just talk briefly about addiction, and then I'm going to pull a few cards and see what the universe has in store for us. Just some wisdom, share some guidance, maybe whatever's interesting. Whatever comes up will be interesting. So this is intended, this is the book, Overcoming Addictions by Deepak Chopra. It was written a long time ago, but it's got some nuggets in here that are just beautiful. One of the things that I do on occasion is weekend retreats for people in recovery from addiction and alcoholism. So I've used this book at length in some of my seminars. So I just love this passage, and I want to share it with you because there isn't anyone out there that has not known at least one or two alcoholics, addicts, or have had it in the family or at work, somewhere. Nobody doesn't know at least one, and most of us know many. I know many and have known many, and I love them. I love addicts. I love alcoholics. I love them when they're drunk, and I love them even more when they're sober. I used to be an alcoholic magnet. One of the reasons is I'm an empath, and I always saw through the behavior into the soul, and I could see a beautiful shining soul. And there is a beautiful shining soul inside of every single addict and alcoholic. And this is all I'm trying to make a point about today, is they are misguided, but they are seekers too, and they are here for a purpose. And I'm going to read this now from Deepak. Okay, this is Deepak Chopra, Overcoming Addiction, page 8. In every culture and in every historical epoch, human beings have felt the need for ecstatic experience, for a kind of joy that transcends everyday reality. Various cultures have tried to satisfy this need in many different ways, and some have been much more spiritually oriented than others. In the 19th century, the Russian novelist Fyodor Dostoevsky asserted that people need 3 experiences from their society in order to be content: miracles, mystery, and spiritual guidance. And that these 3 experiences are much more important to them than the satisfaction of their material needs. Perhaps the addict believes he can gain access to miracles and mystery through his addiction, and this prospect becomes even more enticing in the absence of guidance of the spirit. Rather than seeing addicts as simply weak or even criminal beings, I choose to see them as people who are responding self-destructively, but quite understandably, to the spiritual vacuum that exists among our material abundance. We all feel the effects of this spiritual vacuum. Depending on who we are and the circumstances in which we find ourselves, We may respond to it in any number of ways, but it's important to recognize that in our society, a great many responses to essentially spiritual yearnings take a material form. Okay, the next quick passage is about the addict as seeker. So an addict is a person, or an alcoholic is a people that is seeking mystery, miracles, and spiritual guidance. Doesn't that sound like all of us? Yeah, addicts are no different than you and I. In fact, I bet many of you listening right now are either recovering addicts or in the throes of an addiction. It is huge right now. COVID has increased the numbers by 30% of the people that are reporting or checking into facilities or hospitals or programs for the recovery from addiction. All right, there's one more really cool passage. Okay, here it is. I see Deepak Chopra again. I see the addict as seeker, albeit a misguided one. The addict is a person in quest of pleasure, aren't we all? Perhaps even a kind of transcendent experience. And I want to emphasize that this kind of seeking is extremely positive. The addict is looking in the wrong places, but he's going after something very important, and we cannot afford to ignore the meaning of his search. At least initially, the addict hopes to experience something wonderful, something that transcends an unsatisfactory or even an intolerable everyday reality. There's nothing to be ashamed of in this impulse. On the contrary, it provides a foundation for true hope and real transformation. I could talk for hours on the subject of addiction, being on both sides, meaning I have experienced addiction, and I have also been in partnerships, relationships, friendships, and various other types of relationships with people who are addicts. So I've been on both sides of the fence. I've been the addict, and I've been the one dealing with an addict. And it's something worth investigating. The only piece of wisdom I would like to share right now about that particular topic before we get to the cards is ask for help. No matter what part of the addiction you're on, whether you're the addict or you're the person that loves an addict, or you're the person that works with an addict, or you're the person that goes to church with an addict, or you're the mother of an addict, no matter who you are, it's a disease and it can be treated. But it's more than a disease, it is a spiritual longing. So what do we do with spiritual longings? We seek. We find teachers, we find mentors, we find programs, we find books, we find ways, we find treatments. Now, if my disease is cancer, I can look in 1,000 places for some solutions. I can look to a holistic integrative psychologist. I can go to a naturopath. I can go to an herbalist. I have all these amazing, I can go to an allopathic doctor. I can go to a surgeon. There's so many options available, and there's no stigma. So when I knock on the door of a acupuncturist, let's say, for treatment of cancer, no one goes, no thanks, and has an attitude. Addicts are often treated as criminals, and they're perceived to be less than in some way. They're just sick people. They're people that started off on a spiritual quest, hoping to find some solutions, some answers, and some fulfillment. And they just found out too late that the path that they were on was destructive. Let's love our addicts today. There are 30% more addicts today than there were in February. We need to love them. If you could send a little love and a little light to the addicts, their families, and their loved ones, that would be great. That's my pitch for the addicts and alcoholics today. I love them. I respect them. I know they're on a path toward spiritual fulfillment, and they got a little bit derailed. So God bless them all. God has blessed them all. Creator, bless them all. Source creator, bless them all. All right. So I'm just going to pick a few cards and see what the cards have to say about life today. I'm sure I will channel something from the cards that would be of importance and may even relate to the alcoholism addiction subject, or it may not. So shuffling and cutting the deck, and I'm just going to pick a few cards at random, okay? Wow, okay. I think that's enough for now. We might pick some more after. First card is creativity. Love this card, it's beautiful. We all have creative impulses, and some of us are full-blown artists, dancers, painters. There are all kinds of creative gifts out there. So I think that this card is saying that now, during a quieter time in our lives, it's a great time to pick up those creative activities that we've either tried before or new ones that we haven't tried yet in order to self-soothe. One of the reasons that addiction is really high right now is because people had come to the end of their rope, didn't know how to self-soothe, didn't have help, weren't asking the right people maybe for help or whatever, could not find a way back on track. Art of any type, dance, music, art, any kind of creative activity, crafting, crocheting, all that stuff is a way to help us connect to our inner selves. It's a way to connect to the divine. It's a way to express whatever we're feeling and get it out. And sometimes addicts haven't had that opportunity. They don't, because they're stuck in the patterns that they're stuck in. They're unable to think outside the box. Let's do it for them. Let's think ourselves outside of our boxes by being creative. Okay. The next card is beautiful also. It's balance, and it's by the divine teachers. If you see this card, there are two people giving each other gifts. One is the gift of love, the heart, and the other is a present wrapped in a bow. This theme of balance is so important for all of us right now. We need to pay close attention to our relationships and make sure that over time, give and take, not tit for tat, not quid pro quo, but over time that we have a sense of balance, that we're giving as much as we're receiving. Sometimes all we have to give is love. And sometimes we need to receive love. And sometimes we are feeling like we want to give gifts. And sometimes we want to receive gifts. So if you find yourself in a position where you're giving and giving and giving and giving and giving until you bleed and not receiving much back, then that might be a relationship worth taking a look at or getting some feedback about, or thinking about setting some boundaries. We have to protect our energy systems. We need to remain balanced in order to be whole, in order to move forward in our lives, to address our dreams, to do what's important for us. So we can't afford to let other people take our energy. We can't afford leaky boundaries. We need to hold on to, we can share the extra that we have, and that's beautiful. But for those that suck us dry, sometimes we need to take a break and think about that. Say, you know what, I need some time right now. And think about what we want to do to find that balance. Is balance possible? And if it is, great, figure out some solutions. And when you're ready, talk about it with the other person and say, hey, you know what, what hasn't been working real well for me? I don't feel well when the ABC happens. So I'm wondering if we could alter that and make it a more equitable arrangement. Maybe these things can be talked through, and great. But if they can't, let them go. If they can't, let them go with love. Let them go with love. No need to be angry either, because everyone's always doing the best they can, right? Everyone's just doing the best they can. No one deserves to be judged or criticized. However, if they're not helpful to your energy, it's okay to make choices, to set boundaries, or even to let them go. This card is the invention card, also by the creativity guides. We're being asked to be really creative right now. I'm feeling this invention has to do with, yeah. I think this one has to do with the invention of the vaccine. I'm feeling the COVID vaccine has been an amazing endeavor. I'm not a real vax person for myself, but I think the creation of anything new and exciting, especially something that could potentially help humanity, thrills everyone. Everyone's been looking for a light at the end of the tunnel. So if the vaccine serves no other purpose but to lift the spirits and the vibration of people that have been waiting and longing and hoping for a potential answer, then good for them. I think it's pretty amazing that the medical professionals have come up with these vaccines so fast, and they're considered very safe, and they might be, but I'm not a particularly big fan of vaccines, but I don't want to promote that. I'm not promoting what I think because I think it's such an individual decision. I respect all of your decisions as to whether or not you will take it, but it's the light at the end of the tunnel. It's the creative genius of the people in the research field, the people in the medical fields. Collectively, they've done a terrific job. Now, we could go off into other topics related to the big pharma, but that's not for today. I get it. I know. Big pharma, big money, politicians finding deep pockets of money from big pharma. Yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff around that. And I get it and I know it, and I just don't want to talk about it today. And that's for another day, if I even decide to talk about it at all, because it's so negative. I try to talk about positive things. But anyway, blessings to all the people that have done a great job at putting together the vaccine. Even for those who don't take it, you're going to benefit from the vaccine because so many people are going to be relieved. They're going to feel like there's a ton of bricks being relieved from their shoulders and that there's hope for humanity and there's a path towards survival of our species. So all that hope that the vaccine has generated will have a positive impact energetically on the entire planet, whether or not you decide to take it. So energetically, it's been an uplift, and that's what I think I want to focus on with that. Boy, people have been creating. We're creating. This time of COVID has been a time of great creation. Think about what you've created since you started with this sort of lockdown-ish, slowed down pace, inability to go out to a lot of places and do a lot of things. I'll tell you what I've done that's new. I started doing YouTubes during COVID, and I've had a great time doing them. And I'm going to continue because it's really been wonderful. I have also learned how to make about 8 different soups, really nice, healthy soups. And I've also started baking, and I'm not a baker. I love to eat baked goods, don't get me wrong. I love baked products. But I found that I like to eat. You probably do too. And I like to eat tasty things. I like to have a snack once a day, something tasty, something fun. And I was finding myself doing things that weren't too healthy. I was finding myself eating things for pleasure that were not good for me. And I could go into detail, but I won't. Just trust me, they weren't healthy. So I decided to learn how to bake with nut flours and coconut flour and other types of gluten-free or minimally gluten. Like I do add a little bit of, I've learned that I can add a little bit of oat flour to kind of fluff up the nut flours. So Anyway, it's been fun. It's been a creative endeavor for me to learn how to bake because I'm not much of a baker. I usually make things out of a box if I have to. Not that I promote prepackaged materials, but sometimes if I need a cake, I don't know how to start. I've never made a cake from scratch. So for me to bake from scratch with healthy ingredients, non-GMO and all that kind of stuff, good for me. So what have you done during COVID that's creative? Oh, I also painted my first picture since I painted one picture maybe 15 or 20 years ago, and I painted one picture when I was in high school. So basically, I'm not a painter, but I picked up painting. Haven't really taken off with it. I've really only done one painting, but I'm doing some soul. My intention is to do soul paintings, to just let it go into a meditative state, open myself up to the universe and paint. And it's kind of abstract and it means something to me, but it doesn't mean much to anybody else, but that's okay. It's not for anybody else, it's for me. So invent something, create something, try something, create new and that you've never done before and improve your life. I know that my life has, I've added some fun things to my life, not super fun, but pleasant things to my life since COVID. So without the slowdown, I wouldn't have had the time or the interest in coming up with some new ways to keep myself entertained and to eat healthy and all that. All right, we're going to end with this card. This is a terrific card. Psychic awareness, divine soul. Psychic awareness, divine soul. You can see a being sitting in a lotus blossom and the moon in the distance. Actually, is this one underwater? Yeah, it must be. There's a fish going by. So, wow, there's a lot of detail in this card. Every single one of us has a connection to source, to creator, to God, to the infinite field of possibilities, to the quantum field, whatever you call it. We all have access to all the information and all the guidance that we need. Everyone has it. And some people have chosen to really hone those skills, such as myself. You know, I've been working on psychic awareness forever. I've been psychic since I was a child, didn't know what it was called until later on. But many of you are probably really interested in expanding your psychic awareness and understanding your the connection between your emotions and your psyche, your emotions and your intuition, your emotions and your well-being. The reason I'm talking a lot about emotions is because the moon plays very prominently right now in our lives. Just got over a full moon, and we've got lots of astrological energy. I'd have to have Dr. Vicky talk to you about that. Lots of astrological energy, including a lot of lunar energy coming up this month. And the moon is all about feelings. It's all about emotions. So I encourage you all to listen to your emotions and let them be your guide. Emotions are amazing guideposts to let us know sort of which direction to move in, how to make choices, and to listen. Sometimes we don't listen to our own inner being, but we listen to our emotions. Our emotions are our teachers. So allow the emotions, and you will be more in tune with your own central channel or your own inner core being, your highest self, and it will bring you to a higher level of psychic awareness. And I do teach this, by the way, if anyone's ever interested in expanding their psychic awareness. I read cards all the time for lots of people. I channel, they're very related. They're very related. You'll see me sometimes when I go like this, I'm looking at a card, but I'm really kind of getting information from somewhere else. They're very related, channeling and being psychic with cards. I don't necessarily read what's on the card. I get impressions and then spirit sort of fills it in fills in the details. So be creative, maintain your balance, great things are coming in terms of the opening up of the world and the lessening of COVID, and springtime is coming, and people are inventing things and creating things that just give us a lot of hope. There's a lot of hope. There's a lot of brilliant people out there inventing things, creating things that are going to just improve our lives. We're at the end of it, folks. We're at the end of this dark tunnel of COVID. So get ready. By the time the tulips come out, we're going to be almost ready to have somewhat of a normal life again, whatever new normal looks like. I don't know what that's going to look like. And the divine hands are painting our new reality. This is our new reality, a picture of what's coming, what's to come, beauty, flowers, beauty, intelligence, color, loveliness, newness, springtime, the beginning of all that is new. We have a lot to look forward to in the spring, lots to look forward to, as well as the vaccine, like I talked about before. Talking about psychic awareness, your divine soul, expanding your psychic ability by listening to your emotions and monitoring what goes on in your emotions and in the emotions around you, and taking in whatever information and reaching out and trying to help make more sense of it through your intuition. The seat of the intuition is the third eye, and the heart has a lot to do. The heart and the third eye are very connected. Our emotions and our ability to intuit are very connected. So I hope you had fun with this reading and for this little YouTube. I look forward to hearing from you. Please like and subscribe and leave me a comment, a question. I'll leave all my important information below. And thank you so much for watching today. I send you love and blessings and all goodness. And I wish you all the best. Namaste. Much love. Bye.